Welcome to another episode of the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast, your source for actionable real-life examples and advice to help you move to the next level of investing. Each week, we help you make a quantum leap in your business, your finances, and/or your life. We want to help you take back control, help you thrive during chaos, and lead you through the current crisis to a better tomorrow. For more resources, check out smartrealestatecoach.com and be sure to give us a rating and review on your favorite platform.
Good morning, Wicked Smart listeners. It's Chris Free, your host again, and we have an amazing guest. You know, we've been doing a lot of these workshops virtually, but more importantly, we've been pulling off these amazing in the trenches boot camps here in the office. And the more we do those, the more I remind myself how important it is to go back to the basics, meaning the scripts, the negotiating, the communicating with the sellers, because when we do that properly, we come across as confident, we come across as clear, and when we do that, the sellers want to run with us, right? Well, our next guest is just amazing timing for this. Back in 2001, he was broke as a joke, as he says. He had a near-death experience. I know what that's like. I went through it with my son. He was actually rafting when his happened, unlike my son, and that pushed him to look for ways to escape his W-2, like so many of us have done, right? And so many people in our community have done, and we've been helping people do this for a decade. Well, Tom fits into that exact avatar. Real estate investing actually saved his butt financially and personally. Hundreds of deals later, he loves to share that piece that I just talked about, the negotiating, the marketing, the business techniques that literally set him free. Okay, Tom, with that as a little intro, welcome back to the show after 5 years.
Thanks. Good to be back, Chris.
Yeah, you and I are going to be hanging out this week at our Wicked Smart sit down for the Wicked Smart listeners. If you're not familiar with that, it's every Thursday. We've been doing it for, 8 years now. So I can't wait to have you there. Tom, for them to know, the Wicked Smart listeners, it was episode 157, and we're like approaching 600. So it was a little bit ago. Maybe just give a 10,000 foot view for those that didn't catch that, obviously, way back then, because I said some cool things in the intro, but let's hear from you. And then what are you up to now? And then we'll dive in.
Yeah. Gosh, what's changed in half a decade? Well, a whole bunch of things. I moved from Washington, D.C. to Sarasota, Florida. I sold off my rentals in D.C. and then looking to reinvest in other opportunities. A large part of that is, what's happened between those years. There were shutdowns and there was massive change and upheaval and a whole bunch of things. And it wrecked some of my rentals and it changed my view on things. So pretty much just a few major life changes, like, moving.
Yeah. Moving in the market changes are rather major. So what kind of deals do you love right now? And then I want to obviously get into some of the negotiating and techniques.
Yeah. I'm back to focusing on wholesaling entirely right now, which is somewhat a wait and see approach. And then when we look towards the buy and holds that we're doing, my wife and I want to focus on self-storage facilities.
Yeah, I love that asset class for a million reasons. I just said that recently to my wife. She's like, these things are popping up everywhere. I said, well, here's why it's a great asset class. Yeah. We could get you buying those on, as you probably know, on owner financing. It'd be sweet. So let's talk to the Wicked Smart listeners about sort of your zone of genius. And then maybe, I don't know if that's changed over the last 5. I would imagine some tweaks have been made there. Let's talk.
No, it's sharpened.
So let's dive in. You're going to talk to us tomorrow night live on the sit down. I want to know what's new and exciting in the negotiating world and in your techniques and some of the things that are top of mind for you.
Yeah, I think negotiation is the middle piece of every real estate deal. It doesn't matter what your exit strategy is. You can be a wholesaler, you can be a landlord, you can do commercial, any asset class, rehabbing. It all starts with being able to put a deal together and get somebody to say yes to you. Otherwise, you have nothing. And yet, Chris, for some reason, I find that people still, to this day, don't focus on that piece. They don't focus on being able to move people from saying no to saying yes to them. And I think that's a shame because, look, if it leads to just one more deal, or if it leads to just one more deal every year, or if it leads to just, an extra 1,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, or even an extra 500 out of a deal, what's that worth to you to learn that crucial middle piece?
Yeah, I think it's crazy if I could chime in here. So I already wrote down two things in your first sentence. First of all, our paydays average deal run like 35 grand to 350. So one tiny nugget that you impart today or tomorrow with our private sit down, man, oh man, I couldn't agree more. And then I wanted your comment on this then regarding the whole negotiating and not understanding that's so critical. What are your thoughts then on confidence, like in employees, like, because I think that's where people get astray too, right? If they don't know.
That's one of the five layers to what I call my negotiating stack. STACK. It's an acronym. The C is for confidence, because that's the game changer. That when you internalize what I teach, you internalize the negotiation techniques and strategy and the angle and the know-how of what you're after. You just start spitting this stuff out with confidence, and that winds up being a major. It's a game changer because the people you're talking to sense it. They probably couldn't describe it. They couldn't put a finger on what's different about you, but they couldn't put it into so many words. But there's a quiet confidence when you know what you're doing. And how are you going to get there? Well, it's just a matter of practice. Learn what you're doing in negotiation, practice it, and I would argue you'll be amazed what's going to happen.
Isn't the obvious super true too, though? I mean, sorry, the obvious, the opposite, meaning if they're not confident and not clear, the sellers kind of want to run, right?
Of course. Yeah, you can smell. Well, women especially can smell desperation, and it's unattractive, and they run. But yeah, if anyone is, when you come across hesitant or unsure or not clear, or you're not confident in your delivery, they sense that too and go, "There's something wrong here. This guy doesn't know what he's doing," and they move on. So it is that double-edged sword.
So what are some ways, let's just give them some nuggets and some teasers, because we only have a short few minutes. What are some ways they can start to delve into some learning that and getting confident in that?
All right. How about I give you my top three? I think that'll fit into the time purpose.
Yeah,
I use this one pretty much every negotiation because, Chris, we're real estate investors, so we're always asking about price. And price is a number. And there's a concept in negotiation called flinching. So anytime anybody says any number to you whatsoever, I want you to act like you were physically attacked by that number. So, Chris, if you say a number.
359.9.
Woof, 359.9? Seriously. Now, how do you feel in general when I flinch at you?
Well, holy shit. Well, I must have given the wrong number or something. What's going on here?
Yeah, what's going on? I must give the wrong number. You're unconfident about your own number. I didn't say give me a price on a house or an apartment complex. I literally just said say a number. You could have said 20, and I would flinch the same way, and it would have put that same thought in your head. So what I want all of your listeners and viewers to do is to flinch each and every time someone says a number to you. And as real estate investors, you know somebody's going to say a number to you because we're always talking about numbers. That's what we do. So that's the first technique.
Love it.
The second one then is where do we tend to meet? What's stereotypically the most fair place for two people to meet?
Regarding real estate?
Regarding anything in life.
Regarding anything?
Yeah. I'll meet you
in the middle?
In the middle? Yeah, absolutely. I'll meet you halfway. I'll meet you in the middle. There's no more fair place for us to meet. So people kind of feel that distinctly. It feels fair. It feels right. Well, then the second technique I want to teach everyone is bracketing. What bracketing means is I want to engineer where the middle is. If we know we're going to meet in the middle anyway, and that's the most fair spot to be, so everyone will feel like they won, that let's control where that middle is. So if, let's say I need I need to get this deal for 250,000, let's say, right? It says it's a suburban house, whatever, 250,000. If that's my target and I want to make that the middle, then when I ask them, how much you asking for the property? And they say 300,000, what do I do?
2.
Well, no, hang on. First I flinch, bingo. Whoa, 300,000, right? These are all stackable. They're all in layers. So I flinch. So now I'm aiming for 250 as my target price. They're at 300. So they're $50,000 above. That means my starting offer needs to be $50,000 below. So what bracketing means is you want to be the same distance below your target price as they are above your target price. So you're equidistant. You're making your target into the middle. So in this case, that would be 200,000. oof, oh, wait a minute. I would never offer you $200,000 on that property because of the third technique, which is specific numbers. I wouldn't offer you 200,000, but I would offer you 203,579. Because how does that number sound to you?
Exact, well thought out.
Exact, well thought out. I must really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Wow, this guy is very precise. He's scientific.
Formula.
Yeah, I got a formula, but honestly, where did I get that number from? Yeah, out of thin air. So, but it comes across that way. It comes across more serious, comes across more substantial, more thought out. So specific numbers is a super simple technique that is so simple, people almost go, you got to be kidding me. That really works? Yes, that really works. So these three, which I call my negotiating trifecta, you flinch when you hear a number, you bracket to create the engineer where the middle is, and then you spit your starting offer out with a specific number because you come across more credible. Those three things alone will revolutionize you personally as a negotiator.
I love it. So for the Wicked Smart listeners, like literally play with this today. When you hear this episode, play with it on the phone. We built it in inherently without having a system for the flinch and the exact number. Someone, I think my wife said, how come you last like 5 houses? You had a 23 and the like 923 or 1023. Those were literally what I gave the seller.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. It's well thought out. I maxed my metrics out. I can't squeeze any more out.
People assume, whether or not you say that, they then assume that, and then they go, well, all right. And it doesn't sound like spitballing, because if you just throw out an even number, something, they said 300, I'm saying 200. You just spitball with numbers. When you're more scientific, or when it comes across more scientific, suddenly they go, there's something here that must be right. It lends credibility and credence to what you're saying. And it gives you an air of confidence and professionalism.
Okay, who wants to be the next apprentice? Pretty interesting, guys. We started this apprentice program back as a July 4th, 2024 promo. That's where it started. And it was so incredibly effective. We were just going to run it for the summer. It was so effective immediately. We kept it. It's in place now. And what is it? It allows you to get into the community, the Wicked Smart community, for less dollars than the QLS home study course sells for right now on our site. In fact, when you go to smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice-pod, apprentice-pod, when you go there, you're going to see that as an apprentice, you're going to get over $13,000 worth of coaching, the possibility for you to touch base with us if you want to 4 or 5 times a week, and it doesn't exist anywhere out there, frankly. That's why we did it. We did it for 2 reasons. One, no one is giving you the support out there. We keep hearing feedback, which is how this was born, that other educators are not giving support. They're just selling stuff. So it doesn't exist anywhere, and nowhere in the real estate education or coaching space. And we want to help you do one thing, deals. So we've wrapped the support mechanism around this. We've allowed you to get into a Slack community with the other associates who previously were protected in Slack, and now you get to jump in there and experience that for 12 weeks. You also get to come to the In the Trenches bootcamp, which is private. It's a chance to hang out with the family team and one of the coaches for 2.25 days in our conference room, roll up your sleeves, get calls done, get deals done. If you come with leads, you leave with deals. Absolutely incredible. I could go on and on. Go to the website right now. Check out more information about the apprentice, and I'm going to give you the In the Trenches bootcamp site, because you don't have to become an apprentice. It just happens to be free with apprentice and associate. So 2 links I'm going to give you, super important. smartrealestatecoach.com/ITTB-pod. That's going to give you some information about the bootcamp. If you want to buy a ticket to the bootcamp, it's more expensive, but you can. Just to come check us out. About 1 or 2 people every time we run it do just that. Or become an apprentice, and it's for free. smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice-pod. So let's ping pong back to them learning this, right? So we already established what they can play with, just these little 3 techniques. You'll do a lot more tomorrow on the sit down. And we already established the sort of how they can get into the flinching on that. So how can they practice this? What's the best way to get really good?
So if you go on Craigslist, which is one of the most outdated websites ever, I'm not, but there's a bunch of for sale by owner properties. And I don't care what asset class you're after. I'm not talking about that right now. Just go find some for sale by owners and call them for practice. We're using these people for practice. Call and flinch, call and bracket, call and offer a specific number just to play around and see what happens. you'll get a lot of free practice simply from calling for sale by owners.
Yeah, and I'll add a layer to that. I love stacking, by the way. We developed T-shirts in one of our events, Tom, that said "Just keep stacking" because I love staking, right?
Yep.
I would say have a coach critique your call too.
Yes. I do that with my students. I have them record the calls. We go over them. At first, I say, look, the first few calls, I don't even need to hear them. I want you to hear them because you're going to cringe at the sound of your own voice.
Yep.
You're going to go, why did I say that? Or why did I not say that? And then you get to the point where then my feedback can help refine. So yeah, recording calls is a fantastic way of getting better.
And you'll love this. We have in Slack, we have a many channels, but we have one that's just called Scripts and Dialogues. And then each level in the company, they have their coaches and they post call critiques in that channel. So we're all about call critiques. I love that. I love that you guys do that. Good stuff. Tom, talk about you had challenges, right? Obviously in your story, I mentioned at the beginning, but I just today, prior to this, coincidentally, did a thing in our Slack channel. I call it a rant, but I talked about the dip people get in life. Like they have a challenge like you had, or they have a challenge like my son had, or me in the crash, right? And boom, it's a dip. It's called normal. And that's how we come out. So can you just address it, only because you've experienced it too, like me, I don't know, some thoughts on, I don't want to say it's normal for everyone, but some thoughts on how to rebound and why that's important. Because I meet people now to this day who have their head in the sand still from 08. And I went through 08 and I'm like, okay, so for the last decade, you didn't do anything. So what are your thoughts on that? And so I just want to interject some real stuff here with.
Yeah, no, that's a seriously good question. We can get seriously deep on it. Look, we're entrepreneurs, real estate entrepreneurs, any sort of entrepreneur. But we're going to go through dips. You have to accept that first off, right? Everything's hunky-dory until it's not, and that's going to happen. There's nothing wrong with that. I would argue that your real chops as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, is how you get through those dips that are inevitably going to come no matter how good you're doing, no matter how highfalutin you're doing. I've been through a couple, let's say 3, and it was always a little strange. I was talking to another investor about this recently. He said, you know what people don't understand? He goes, because they see the glamour, they see beautiful houses, they see everything that we do, the great lifestyle, the free time with the family, kids. That's all wonderful. What they don't see is that during those dips, there's times when you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, going, "Crap, how am I going to get myself out of this?"
Yeah.
Or what happened? Because things do change, right? Markets shift, technology changes, things go awry, and I think it's look. During the pandemic, the word pivot was so overused, it was getting ridiculous, right? Everyone's pivoting this and pivoting that. But there is a point to it. You realize something's off. I need to tweak. I need to change. I need to pivot, as much as I hate the word, because there's something's changed. It's going to take a while. Sometimes you sit there, you got to step back, pull up to 10,000 feet, like you said, and go, what's changed? What's different? Now, what can I do to adapt for that? Or take this as the opportunity to roll out something different. I think, Chris, though, the danger for us as entrepreneurs, I think most of us have a little entrepreneurial ADD. The risk is you want to switch overall, switch to something totally different. Now's the time to change up my life. I think that's risky. I don't think you want to drop what you're doing that has worked. I think you want to tweak what you're doing that has worked, rather than chase the new bright shiny object, which is always the temptation for real estate investors. So I think the way to phrase it is to say, I want less of X and more of Y, right? I want to, I'm doing A, I'm going to fix it, and I'm also going to start moving towards B. So rather than it being a black and white transition, which is, if you think about it, that's really risky. You're keeping what you have, improving it, and also saying, fine, I'm moving towards something else. And that satisfies the ADD and gets us moving in the right direction.
So that kind of ties to coaching, though, wouldn't you say? Because in my life, twice, I didn't have a coach. I didn't know this till after I looked back and went, oh, that was obvious. So in the 08 crash, I didn't. So I stayed in my head for 4 years until 12. And then it was somewhere like early 90s. I was super young. I wasn't even 30 years old when that happened. And I think back, I went, oh, I didn't have anyone to say, what do you do? So what are your thoughts on coaching with this? Because that's the obvious place my head just went with that.
Yep. Total. Well, look, a lot of people go, they poo-poo it. Oh, how could you, why would you spend all that money to do it? Because having somebody else to look kind of over my shoulder, look at what I'm doing criticize it, not about constructive criticism of what's going on, or sometimes that senior guiding hand to say, why don't you try this? It takes you out of your shell. It takes you out of your odd positioning and really makes things work. I'm 100% behind it. It's saved my bacon multiple times. I've done probably 4 serious rounds of coaching with a few different coaches, and it's gotten me to where I am today.
Yeah, it's nuts. David, I don't know if you know David Nurse, but David, he does like one-on-one. He's got a cool show you'd be on too and be really cool on it. He does one-on-one coaching with the NBA players that like come out of college and making like 10, 20 million crazy money. One-on-one. And he was on my show. He said, yeah, you know what we do, Chris? We bring the individual in. We find out what's the one thing we're going to work on, whether it's a skill for like a jump shot or whether it's mental. He said, then we go find someone online on YouTube and we model after them. And I help them. Okay, so that's not brain science, but they got a coach to help them model after someone. It's no different, right, than you and I. It's just coaching.
Yeah. Coaching is coaching the degree. And it's funny you mentioned the mind work. I've noticed across all different industries how much of it seems to come down to the mind work. Sometimes at first I found it annoying. I'm like, wait a minute. Every time I join a group or something, everyone's wrestling with the same issues.
Yeah.
Then I step back and realize, yeah, but those are issues that humans struggle with, and we got to get through them because there's a lot of, there could be doubt, there could be risk. You get older, you're putting your family at risk too, and so you're stabilized for it because it bothers you. It bothers you deeply, and a lot of times that's not talked about. It feels like there's nowhere to turn to, but there are other people. I guarantee everybody, there's other people that have been through whatever it is you're going through now, personally or as an entrepreneur. Someone's out there dealing with it. Find them and help them pull you through because it's needed because there's dips in markets all the time.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this piece up, the mindset piece, because you could say to anyone that you're teaching, hey, here's those 3 techniques, just go do it. But all the things creep in the mental. And I could say, all right, go to YouTube, watch the 500 videos we have posted, and you're all set. Skill set pieces all set. It's not, I wish it were that easy. It's all the mindset piece. As an entrepreneur, I agree. Speaking of that, you must coach and help people. So let's make sure we let you, wherever you want to send them, websites, email, phone number, whatever you want to give them so they can reach you.
Yeah. 2 websites. Go to tomzeeb.com. That's TOMZ as in zebra, EEB as in boy.com. And there's a ton of negotiation tips on a podcast focused on negotiation. And go to tractionrealestatementors.com. Tractionrealestatementors.com. There's an enormous amount of videos and other trainings and guides. In fact, if you put a backslash after tractionrealestatementors.com and write guides, there's a lot of free guides on all different angles of the business. And you'll see where you fit in and what'll work. And even if you're more advanced, you'll look at some of these guides and go, that's what I need to focus in on. But that's what I need to go back over. That's what I can do to improve to get one extra deal a year or one extra $35,000 chunk every year.
Yeah. And Tom's going to be hanging out again for the Wicked Smart listeners, hanging out with us in the community, doing some really cool things together. So you guys want to camp out with us. If you have not already, I'll drop some links for you guys at the end for The Apprentice and some of the other things we're doing. So you can make sure you're tied to awesome people like Tom. Tom, what did we not hit? Because I obviously didn't remember the 400 episodes ago, the interview we did. What didn't I hit from this new interview that perhaps you want to share or a nugget or two?
I'm not sure I remember exactly either, Chris. So my memory is good, but let's see. Focus on your negotiation skills to improve your business, and then focus on your marketing. I'm almost preaching fundamentals there. Get back to your marketing. If you don't have enough business, you don't have enough flow in your business, that's a marketing issue. So you have to double down, triple down, quadruple down on focusing in on your marketing. So you're bringing leads in to negotiate with that you can then turn into deals and do all the other gritty stuff that you know how to do with making deals and making money. But it's going to start with finding them through marketing and then getting really good at negotiating.
Love it. Love it, Tom. Super cool nuggets, practical nuggets that they can use today. You guys, I'll drop the links in the show notes. I would tell you, if you're anywhere close to the real estate world, and not just kind of poking around the outskirts right now, share this episode with people you know, because if you can go out and get one extra deal, quite frankly, get one deal for yourself and your family, right? Negotiate that. If that's a win. You had a win today. So, Tom, I appreciate you, buddy, and I look forward to hanging out with you tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks, Chris.
You bet. All right, Wicked Smart listeners, that wraps up another Wicked Smart Masters class. I want to give you guys the opportunity to come hang out in the conference room here with us in our private In the Trenches bootcamp. To learn more about that, go to smartrealestatecoach.com/ITTB podcast. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/ITTB podcast. Now, it's free at all our experience levels, just so you know. We used to charge $2,500 to do this, and now it's free. We want more and more people to get in the seats, see us and experience us doing live calls with you for your leads, or you can watch others. It's okay if you're not ready, and actually see that same deal on day one come to fruition by day 3. It's really pretty cool. For some of you that have not seen some of the ways we talk to sellers, I have a really cool free report for you. It's an owner financing report. It's what we developed called the Quadrant, and it allows you to communicate openly and fairly and clearly with the sellers, getting owner financing properties under agreement with no money down and principal payments only monthly. Go ahead and grab that free report at smartrealestatecoach.com/6 figures. That's the number 6 figures. Now, last but not least, if you are listening to this, and if it's your first time or your 550th time, whatever episode we're on, then and I would assume, I'm always speaking as if you've gone through my master's class. If you haven't, go watch it. It's free, guys. I'm big on free so that you can understand, okay, is this a niche I want to jump in or not? Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/webinar podcast. Guys, until the next episode, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to have you share these episodes. I'd love to have you rate and review the podcast. Most importantly, I want you to come hang out at our boot camp. Hope to see you soon. Make it a great week.
Hey guys, are you simply sick of juggling a dozen different software tools for your real estate business? I know I was, and I know I'm not a tech person, so it was frustrating. A subscription for this, you get a subscription for that, and they don't even work together out of the box. That's very frustrating, especially in the real estate world where your best time spent is going to be out in the field or on the phone with sellers. And now you're stuck hiring a tech guru just to make all that sync up. So let's ditch the chaos and let REI Black Book handle everything. Automate your lead follow-up, track every deal, analyze things quickly for you, make offers all on one platform. In fact, with the Wicked Smart platform, we now have access, if you're in the Wicked Smart community, to all the other associates' properties. Can you imagine that? So you're brand new in the business perhaps, and your seller looks on your website and sees 20, 30, 40 properties, instant credibility. So you're going to get everything on REI Black Book, from our custom workflows for lead generation all the way to closing. It has it covered. Try it today for just $1, guys. Visit smartrealestatecoach.com/REIBB-DD. smartrealestatecoach.com/REIB as in boy, B as in boy, hyphen, D as in dog, D as in dog.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you got value from today's episode, guys, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a future episode. It literally takes one nugget to access some of the things we're doing. And when you're talking the size of the paydays, it's an opportunity cost that you can't let go. So don't miss an episode. And for goodness sake, share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you're ready to find your best path for getting started on your real estate investing journey in general, head over to smartrealestatecoach.com/get started. We're going to help you take the guesswork out of your next steps. See you in the next episode.